It's crazy. I was talking to one of my friend's sons, and he was saying how they actually have active shooter drills in their school. And I'm thinking, like, in my school, we had tornado drill, hurricane drill, fire drill, and now you're thinking about shootings?
Yeah,
it's crazy.
But I mean, also, I mean, who had people who got shot at school? I mean, if you had a shooting at your school when you were anybody?
No.
Nobody?
No.
See, that's what I'm saying. It's a different time now. It's like shootings are happening, but also these assault rifle conversations and stuff. The kids are up in Tallahassee. There's 2 lockdown situations in Tampa today. I mean, it's just to a point right now where you just got to start really understanding that if you're going to be about protecting your school, your fam, your school family, your teachers, your coaches, and everything else, you just got to speak up.
No, I know for a fact. I was talking to my niece last week. They had a situation where a student was saying that he's going to shoot a couple other students. They had to take the student out, but then he was able to go back to the school a week later. And he's at school right now as we speak.
That's scary.
I mean, and you think about it too, when the kid comes back, now he got what, like a vendetta, or now he got a list. I mean, I ain't trying to, quote the Adam Sandler movie, but it's like, you do think of those situations where you got somebody who comes back into the mix, and now you got to deal with the fallout. But I don't think the fallout is as bad as what could happen. Think about those kids from Douglas High School and think about what they witnessed. Like, there was a kid that is on the mend now, but he held the door closed while his classmates were in the classroom, and it got shot 5 times through the door, holding the door closed so nobody could come in and get them. So it's a sad thing, but I think it's our responsibility to tell people, like, that whole snitching thing, that's dead. At least to me.
I think I get where it comes from, and it stems from we talked about before, like the G code and like the streets and stuff like that. But like, we ain't in the streets. We're in a school. We're in a facility where people are here to learn, to grow, and the fact that you can't feel safe, or something like that magnitude happens, like, that's something that has to be expressed, and that's something that you have to tell, someone about to avoid from happening, man, because these are other people's lives, you know what I mean? This isn't the streets.
And the fact that people are trying to live by the G code while they still living at their mama house.
Right.
Like,
I mean, yeah.
But you're talking about people's lives. It comes down to right and wrong. For me personally, it's right and wrong. If the talk in school is happening, well, that's wrong. The right thing to do is let people know that that's happening.
I mean, you also look at it too, like, joking ain't allowed. Somebody go on their Instagram and they're like, yo, we got a test tomorrow, so I'm just gonna shoot up to school. How am I supposed to, at 15, how am I supposed to decide if that's a joke?
Right.
Is that my responsibility? Is that my responsibility to understand that my boy is joking, or the classmate that I know who might not be my boy is joking, or should I go say something? Anybody who watching this probably is like, whoa, do I put somebody in the system off of them just blowing off steam or joking?
Well, you shouldn't know if somebody's joking or not, if it's your boy. If it's somebody that you don't know, and the way they say it, the way it comes out their mouth, you know a person is joking or not.
So what about if you think it's a joke and then it's not a joke? That's why they saying that's the hard part. It's not cut black and white. See something, say something. Somebody say something, they'll clear it up just like that if it wasn't nothing.
So we saw a church-going young man, and all of a sudden he was like, I don't want to do this, I'm just going to shoot up the school. Like, what's the chances of him doing that, even if he's just joking around?
Do you want to take that chance?
This is a decision that needs to be made, of course. Don't get me wrong.
Well, how do you explain it to your children as well? They come home from school and they don't want to go back because they're scared. And then you're talking at home about getting a new backpack and you want it to be bulletproof for them. That's kind of scary at the end of the day, that you don't know. You want to coddle your kid and make sure they're protected, but you want them to also learn and be brave and go back to school. It's difficult understanding how to talk to your kids about all this new stuff that's happening.
Yeah, he was talking about drills. I mean, remember when Reggie Roundtree came on the air with us on the Freak Show, and he was like, they have studies that have shown that more people live in school shootings if they aggressively run at the shooter.
Yeah.
Because people who in the woods and practicing how to shoot and writing their list and all this other stuff have not prepared for moving targets, for people running at them, for people throwing desks at them. And there were law enforcement professionals who were like, take a desk, throw it at them. Like, 6 people run at them, 60 people run at them. Somebody might get hit, but that would end with a lot less lives lost than not doing anything and hiding behind a table. So the whole way we came up in high school is a wrap. Like, this is a whole new uncharted territory, and I think the safest thing to do is say it no matter who it is.
Yeah, because saying it, like everything that you just described, if you could get the information out there before it happens, then you're saving lives and you're saving yourself and everyone else from having to go through everything that you just said.
Well, I feel like you could take it in a different way too. Like, you used to do the see something, say something for you scared someone's gonna shoot up the school, but like when it comes to bullying and people getting pushed to those limits, you shouldn't wait until they look like they're already there. Like, I know I got treated horribly when I was in school, and I saw other girls too, and they made Facebook pages like, what, Kinsley should kill herself was like the name of the Facebook page. And it's like, that girl's gonna lose it. Like, we should be saying something prior to people already getting to that point.
That's a good point. I mean, telling somebody that so they can reach out to help them kind of get past it. But it ain't no coming back from death. Like, the fact that those kids were like, man, there was a shooting at the school today, must have been Nick Cruz. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, we've had, even here in the building, we've had people who acted out of character or out of pocket, and so we've always joked when it was okay to joke. He gonna shoot up the school one day, or she gonna shoot up the school one day, or she gonna shoot up the building, and kind of say that. But now in this light, when you see people actually in Tallahassee fighting for it, I mean, think about them arguing. Think about being a 16-year-old kid and you ain't never talked in front of the school, and now you in front of the state government and Pam Bondi and Rick Scott and everybody else, and these kids are killing it, pointing out that these people who are making these decisions never stared down the barrel of an AR-15. Like, or they've never watched people on the right or left of them die. So when they making those decisions and kind of discrediting a 16-year-old kid, these kids are articulately telling them, yo, you haven't been where we are, so we're not gonna let this go. So it's heartbreaking.
It's crazy because they should be preparing for football games, not preparing a speech.
That's what I'm saying.
Like, it's nuts that they even have to deal with that and go through that.
Like, everybody who is sitting here had some kind of spark that put them in this space from high school. You know what I'm saying? Whether it was DJing, we had the radio club where it was like we got to like do WGBE, the actual radio station for Gary Public Schools, and that was the inspiration. Take away all those things and ain't here. You know what I'm saying? College didn't really do it for you. You was already trying to find a job or something like that. It wasn't this. It was high school that gave you that freedom to dream about it, to be about it, to chase it, to like go out and fall and get up and try it again. And it's like when you take all of those things away because of safety measures and precautions and the fact that we're worried about 60 or 70 rounds coming into the school grounds, that's just, that's something that we feel, as a company, that we should make sure that we just beat over kids' heads that, yo, if you see it, say it, because you don't want to end up in Tallahassee. You don't want to end up going to attend 15 funerals in the next 10 days. So it's not sexy. It's not something that you want to even think about your kids or your little brothers or your cousins or nieces or nephews, anybody worrying about, but it is real. So it's something that we unfortunately got to face now in this new way.
It's amazing how vigilant you have to be, because like the see something, say something doesn't end when you get off a school campus.
Nope.
Because like a lot of those threats were posted on Snapchat, they were online, so it's almost like a 24/7, 365 like awareness that you have to stay with.
Yeah, and I mean, and they got hotlines at certain instances, but I think they need to employ those things where you got a hotline where if you want to be like you said, like it's a friend that you're not really sure of, but you can call it in and say, yo, this person said this. I don't know if they mean it. Look them up. And then law enforcement got to do their job too. But in this case, it's much better to let 100 calls flood into that, call center instead of nobody saying nothing. And then a week later, like, oh man, we really should have said something. I mean, I like I said, I raised my hand. We had a death in high school, and I got to tell you, I was told specifically, because snitches get stitches is nothing new. And I was told by my father, and you know, our parents are looking out for us. My dad was like, listen, the person who shot Shannon Brown in my senior year of high school was claiming that he was a friend and did it as an accident. And I knew that it wasn't true because I knew Shannon since the 3rd grade. And for me to sit there and watch this guy almost get off from that, I couldn't. And my dad was like, don't you get involved. Because here, you know, in Gary, you know, there's a lot of gang activity and stuff, so it could be repercussions against the family. And I asked the attorney, I was like, can you subpoena me? And lied to my father, told him that I had to go to work, a work meeting, and I went down to the court and sat on the stand and pointed at him and told him he's lying. He wasn't a friend. He shot him, you know, and killed him on campus. And that was probably the worst thing ever, because I left to go to college and left my family in that house. You know what I'm saying? And so when I say something because it's something that needs to be done to protect the masses, I mean, it's not easy, it's not sexy, but it's something that got to be done. So, you know, that's something that I'm passionate about. I'm glad none of y'all had to go through it, but there's some people who are hurting who are going through it right now, and they could have avoided it if they just see something and say something. So I think if anything, we just want to make sure we get this out and just kind of let everybody know this is the new move.
Yeah.
Agree.